There's a show airing this season called That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, and as much as that title makes it sound like this show should be just another bland isekai, as it turns out, I actually really like it. And apparently other people do too, so I'm not crazy, contrary to my track record. Given that the whole isekai thing has been pretty maligned within the Western anime sphere, it's unusual yet nice that one of these things has come along that most people agree is pretty fun. That being said, as much as I would like to deliver the ultimate treatise on why this show succeeded where other isekai outings have failed, I have a confession to make. I don't really watch isekai. I've seen a few, like the bad one, and some of the good one, the funny one, and two other pretty alright ones. And that's pretty much it. I'm aware of some of the trends of shitty isekai anime, but all my knowledge is secondhand, as I don't really care to sit through something like In Another World with My Smartphone. Oh, sorry, think I just threw up in my mouth a little. Point being, I can't tell you why this show is better than all the garbage types of these shows, because I have not and will not watch them, probably. What I can do is tell you why I thought this show worked so well, both in comparison to other related genres, and more in particular, on its own merits. So I'm going to do that right now. Also, I should probably mention that this video is the first of a month of weekly uploads, so stick around for that. So what does this show do right? Its primary success, I think, is its protagonist, Rimuru Tempest, the titular slime. First thing I want to do is address two possible complaints that I can see people having about this guy. He's overpowered, and therefore boring. My response to that is yes and no. Truth be told, I know secondhand that these are complaints that have been filed against other isekai protagonists, and while I'm sure they're true there, and I know they're true for Sword Art Online at least, they definitely do not serve as valid complaints here. Rimuru is overpowered, yes, but he's certainly not boring. In fact, it's his unique abilities that are the driving force for a lot of this show's fun moments. But let's take a step back for a minute and address overpowered characters in general. I've heard the term overpowered thrown at some characters like it's an insult, and while again that occasionally can be true, being overpowered does not inherently make a character boring or bad. All you gotta do is take a look at characters like Saitama and Superman. These are characters that most of us love for one reason or another, but what's important about them is that they're relatable, sympathetic. Superman may be able to save the world and not break a sweat, but Clark Kent is just a guy with a crush and a secret to keep. Traits common to many of us. Saitama may be the strongest ever, but that strength is the source of his struggles, and the comedy derived thereof. Each of these characters has something for the audience to latch onto aside from their power. Characters like Kirito fail because not only is their power their defining attribute, but they have little or no personality or relatable human characteristics beyond that. You can have a character be powerful, have that power be central to their being, and have that character not be boring. Superman does it, Saitama does it, and so too does Rimuru. Rimuru, oh my god, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. Rimuru, shit, it doesn't sound good. Rimuru works as an overpowered protagonist for two reasons. One, aside from the powers, Rimuru is a fun and endearing protagonist. Two, he's not just strong for the sake of it or to be cool or whatever. Rimuru's powers have a lot of narrative utility, keeping the moment-to-moment happenings unpredictable, and helping the viewer to explore the world along with him. But let's focus on Rimuru aside from his powers. He's an endearing protagonist from just about as soon as the story gets going. The mere fact that he gets turned into a slime is enough to earn him some sympathy points. But from there, he earns our respect simply by being nice and sporting an uplifting attitude. He approaches every new situation with a sort of playful curiosity, and a lot of comedy is derived from him stumbling into new situations and through making some right calls, having everything turn out splendidly and him just being like, whoa, okay. We root for this guy because he's a genuinely nice and fun individual, stuck in strange circumstances and making the absolute best of it. And seeing the various ways he goes about making the best of it is a blast. What really helps Rimuru to be likable, though, is his propensity for peace. He's not necessarily a pacifist, as he does often have to resort to violence, and indeed occasionally gets violent of his own accord, but usually he seeks out peace before resorting to violence. When he finds a village full of goblins, for instance, he doesn't engage edgelord mode and murder everything. Instead, he befriends the goblins and helps them to build a better life for themselves. When wolves attack, he tries to do the peace thing before it's too late, and afterwards befriends them too. He always sets out to do the nice thing and be helpful to people. And by simply doing that, he's a character that anyone can easily get behind. Because the main character so often pursues peace, the world of the show, and indeed the show itself, stand as advocates for peaceful and more wholesome fantasy adventures. A lot of fantasy anime, hell, not even just anime, but stories in general, are marred in strife and war. Ever since Tolkien's seminal fantasy works, from which fantasy as we know it spawned, and which themselves revolved around one huge conflict, how many fantasy works have been all about them wars, or all that suffering, or all that general not-so-fun times? Even more peaceable works like Log Horizon will have some significant political conflicts, among other things, to keep the ball rolling. But the Slime Show goes in a slightly different direction. Now, I'm not saying that we could do with less overall conflict in our stories. After all, conflict is a fundamental building block thereof. Nor am I saying that the Slime Show is lacking in conflict. What I'm saying is that the typical person v person or group v group conflicts, all the fighting and what have you, while all that does exist, it's the part of the show that is unequivocally the least important, the least focused on. Sure, the dire wolves and the goblins had a fight on screen once, but that fight didn't matter so much as its resolution and aftermath. Those being that Rimuru peacefully united them, and that they're now working together in harmony. Sure, this guy's a dick to this dwarf, but what mattered was that Rimuru helped out the dwarf, and everyone benefited because of it. So let's get drinks and celebrate! In Lord of the Rings, all that mattered was destroying the ring, a violent end to a violent conflict. Well, a lot mattered in between, but still. In Game of Thrones, violence is everything. Sometimes a battle will drag on for an eternity for what feels like the sake of it. Not saying the Battle of the Bastards wasn't good, but damn did it last a while. All of these violent delights have violent ends. But in the Slime Show? Nah, let's just help out each other and be friends. And you know what? That's fucking fantastic. That's an attitude and worldview to aspire to. Art often reflects life, and given humanity's propensity for violence, it's not surprising that we'll have things like the Battle of the Bastards being constructed to feel like it lasts long enough to be soul-sucking. But me, I'd rather see art that reflects a better world, one that humanity can aspire to. A world where, yes, there's still conflict, but we can be and often are better than our worst instincts. That's the kind of world the Slime Show presents, and that's the kind of world I want to live in. The show's positive worldview is also supported by its visuals, in particular the character designs, but that's a topic that'll help me segue into next week's video, so I'm saving it for then. Stay tuned. In the meantime, thanks for sitting through my rambling about a cartoon about a slime. If you've got thoughts, leave a comment. Despite all odds, I still enjoy reading those. I've got more videos planned for this month, so stick around for those. Until then, thanks for watching, and I will see you later.